I wanted to talk about, one of the great contradictions of the founding of America, one of the real tragedy, a real sad story, and that is slavery. There's a whole group of people, whole class of people, who had no rights, who were slaves. Slavery is the exact opposite of rights, right? Your life, in a sense, belonged to somebody else. You're owned as a human being. It was wrong. It was a violation of the principle that they articulated. And for that contradiction, for that violation, for that evil of allowing slavery to continue, we had a civil war. 600,000 Americans died in that war. 600,000. We were a small country back then. 600,000 was even more than it would be today. Imagine 600,000 dying today in a war. And this is when we were a fraction of the size we are today. And that's because of this compromise. Because they did not take this idea of equality, of rights, of liberty, consistently, did not cover everybody. But I'll say this in their defense. It is by articulating the case for rights, for individual rights, not group rights, not collective rights. There are no such things. Individual rights. It is because they articulated that case. It's because they created a country based on that and proved the efficacy of that, the viability of that idea, that ultimately slavery was eradicated. Without the Founding Fathers, without the 4th of July, without the creation of this country, I don't think slavery would have ever been eradicated from the face of it. It's not completely eradicated. There's still cultures, particularly in the Middle East, that still have slavery. But from the Western world, it was eradicated because of the ideas articulated by the Founding Fathers. Now, ideas, granted, that they got from other Enlightenment thinkers, but they put it into reality. They manifest those ideas in a country. And within a few years after the founding of America, maybe 20 years, in Britain, they banned slavery, and then they banned the trade in slavery, and the British fleet went out there to stop slave ships from running. And the tide has shifted. And slowly, slavery was eradicated. So by the late 19th century, at least in the Western world, slavery was gone as a phenomena. A phenomena that had existed from the beginning of time. We've always had slaves. The Bible tells the Jews how to treat their slaves. There's no banning of slavery in the Bible. It's a modern idea. It's an idea of the Enlightenment. It's an idea that comes out of the ideas of the founders, the idea of unalienable rights that human beings have. And human beings doesn't distinguish between color. It doesn't distinguish between race. It doesn't distinguish between sex. Ultimately, it's the Declaration of Independence. It's the founding of this country that led to the emancipation of women. Because the fact is that the Declaration applies to all human beings. Women are human beings. So it has to apply to them. So that contradiction ultimately was done away with. These ideas at the heart of the Declaration, at the heart of the 4th of July, at the heart of the founding of America, are unbelievably powerful ideas, the most powerful political ideas in human history, based on a lengthy philosophical tradition of the Enlightenment.